Hi, my name's Carissa and welcome to another video. In this one I thought I'd do something fun and do the Goodreads book tag. I don't know who this was created by, so if I do find a link down below. And without further ado, let's just get into it. So the first question is, what was the last book you marked as read? And that for me was The Blinding Knife by Brent Weeks. I've done a review of this which I'll link somewhere, and I did really enjoy it and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, I believe. It's about this guy called Gavin, who's the most powerful man in the world, and in the first book in the series he discovers he has a son. This is the second book and it's called the Lightbringer series. And the next question is, what are you currently reading? And it is The Broken Eye by Brent Weeks. This is the next instalment from The Blinding Knife because it ended on a bit of a cliffhanger and I was like, I might as well just continue with it at this point. So this follows on and it's got more pages. It's like 800 plus pages. It's really floppy as well, which I love floppy paperbacks. So yes, The Broken Eye by Brent Weeks. And next question is, what was the last book you marked as TBR? I tend not to really use this on Goodreads, just because it kind of makes me stressed to put all the books I need to read on it. The last book I did put on it was Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. And this is about people with powers that are called epics, and yeah, it sounds really cool. It's Brandon Sanderson, so I'm obviously gonna love it, but that was the last book marked as TBR. Next question is, what book do you plan to read next? I have 2 for this just because I'm stuck between them, and it is Night Shadow by Sebastian de Castell and Flashful by Jenny Moyer. I nearly read these after Blinding Knife, but because it ended on a cliffhanger, I ended up going into The Broken Eye. But these 2 were also options. I may end up going into Flashful this month anyway, just due to the fact that The Broken Eye might be a bit heavy at times. But yeah, these are the next 2 books. Do you use the star rating system? And yes, I do, but really not the way it should be used. Basically, I rate books just after I've finished them. So I'm still excited about the book, so I always rate them higher than they really should be rated. Because either a week later or a few months later, I will look back at that book and be like, that was really not a 5 or 4 star read. Because I tend to rate my books quite highly because I do this. And not all of them stay that rating, but I just don't update it because I know it's annoying for everyone on the feed to see me update every single book and go, actually, it wasn't that great as I thought it was. So yeah, I do use it. Are you doing a 2017 reading challenge? And the answer for this is yes. I've just completed it through the use of comics, but I'm going to try and read a few more books before the end of the year. My goal was 25 books, and the year before it was 20 books, so I think every year I will try and up it a bit. I don't know how anyone could read 100 plus books because I've seen people do that. I'm like, how? I struggle to find time for 20 books, let alone 100 books. Do you have a wish list? And the answer to this is yes, on Amazon I do. It tends to be books that I kind of have seen online and think, oh, that sounds like a good book. So I put it in my wish list to remember what it's called, but I don't really keep a wish list. I find it a very odd thing to keep and be like, I want these books, I want all these books, because I've got so many books on my shelf. I'm like, I really don't need more books, but I kind of want to know what books I've kind of looked at and thought, ooh, this one might be a good book if I'm fancying a book buying binge. What book do you plan to buy next? This is a really odd one because I tend to go into bookshops and just buy whatever I fancy. There are some books that I kind of see quite a lot in bookshops. I'm like, ooh, this one sounds interesting or whatever. There was one that I saw in Blackwell's the other day, which I kind of regret not getting now. But it didn't sound interesting when I first read it, but I keep thinking about it, so I should have bought it. I can't remember who the book was by, I can't remember the title, but it was like pink, and it was about a girl who, I think her brother was like fleeing from Sealy's or something like that. But in terms of what I'm going to buy next, I really don't know. And as well, since it's getting closer to Christmas, I will not really be buying anything closer to Christmas. I might drop a few hints for family members and things and be like, can you get me a Waterstones gift card? Can you get me this? but in general I'm not planning to buy anything. I have pre-ordered Iron Gold, which comes out in January, so that probably, I'd classify that as buying next because I technically have bought it next. And the next question is about favourite quotes. I'm really bad with books and highlighting pages in which I like a quote. I'll tend to be like, oh, that's a really good line, and then forget about it. But I do have a few on Goodreads. One is by Felicia, which Pierce Brown put in Morningstar, and as someone who tends to use By Felicia in their everyday life, the amount of times I say to my mum, Bye Felicia, and she says it back, it's an odd relationship, but yeah, that's one of them because I found it so funny when I read it and I was like, oh my god, he's used By Felicia in his book. And another one I'm going to share is from the Mistborn series, and it's about my favourite character, Elend, and I've got it down here so I'm going to be looking at it as I say it, and he says, I kind of lost track of time, and then Breeze says, for 2 hours there were books involved. It's like, this is why you're my favourite Elend, because you love reading and we relate so much. He's basically my fictional boyfriend, just FYI. And the next question is, who are your favourite authors? So the first one is Brandon Sanderson. He is probably my favourite author because of the fact that everything I read by him I just love. I love his world building, I love the way everything flows together, it just feels so seamless and such a joy to read his books. So here's like number one on the list. I really like Pierce Brown because of the Red Rising series. Iron Gold is making me a little bit worried that he will kind of fall below expectations because I just love the Red Rising series so much. So he's kind of hanging on there depending how Iron Gold does. If it does very well, then he will stay on the list, but if it doesn't, he may fall from grace. V.E. Schwab is also on this list. I've met her and she's absolutely lovely, and I really loved her Dark Shade Magic series. I had some issues with the Monsters of Verity series just because I didn't really find it as emotional as other people seem to find it. I don't know whether I just missed the mark on the book or whatever. I do love the Darker Shade series, so that's why she's kind of on this list. And the last question is, what groups are you part of on Goodreads? So I'm part of the UK Book Club, Top 5 Wednesday, which I haven't made any videos for yet, and I'm a part of Booktubers on Goodreads. I'm not a big group person, I tend to just join them and then just not really look at them. I have been looking at Top 5 Wednesday for video ideas, but because it's October, a lot of their videos this month are very horror related, and as someone who hates like horror related books, I'm not really fancying joining in on it this month. But yeah, that's the end of my video. I hope you really enjoyed this. Leave a comment down below if you've read any of the books I've mentioned, your opinions, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye!